I'm Mo Rocca, and I'm excited to announce Season 4 of my podcast, Mobituaries. I've got a whole new bunch of stories to share with you about the most fascinating people and things who are no longer with us. From famous figures who died on the very same day, to the things I wish would die, like buffets. All that and much more. Listen to Mobituaries with Mo Rocca wherever you get your podcasts.
Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, a little bit of a serious subject. I'm going to be talking on S.A. I'm not going to say what those, what that actually stands for, because I don't know how my podcast, I don't know how like Spotify or Anchor, how they, how that stuff is handled. Like, I'm not trying to have it where my, podcast, it's in jeopardy of being taken down because I didn't, put like something in the title and things. So I'm just going to say S.A. And then when I cross that bridge of titling this episode, I will. But anyways, well, I think I already kind of have a title, and it's overall like just protecting those around us. Because when I hear stories like that, it really trips me out, because I'm like, you don't bother to sit down and think about how or what you would be thinking about if you were to go through some stuff like that. Like, nah, seriously, think about it. There's people in this world where they go around and they like to take advantage of others. Now, if that's their thing, that is your thing. But you can't push that thing off on other people and think that they're going to be cool and chill with it. It don't work like that. You don't know those people. They don't know you. So therefore, it's like you got to find, like, because I know that there's people out there that they're into some weird stuff. So I can't take that away from them. But you can't assume that everybody is into like those type of things. And I mean, I've said stuff like this before, but on different, situations. But it's like, yeah, you can't, look, because no, there was the one time where not having anything to do with S.A, but there was a time though where somebody had joined my stream, and he always would be saying some like sus and weird stuff. I look past it because I'm all like, it takes a lot to really offend me or get me upset or whatever. And so anyways, I left it alone. I was all like, I don't care. But then this guy, he started talking like that to other people. And they told him, like, hey, like, I'm, uncomfortable with you talking to me like that. Like, you need to chill. And then he's trying to plead his case. And that's when I chimed in. And it's like, no, if they said that they're uncomfortable, they're uncomfortable. Leave them alone. And then he got mad and unfollowed me. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's going to prevent you from coming to my streams, being weird to, it's one thing you being weird to me. I don't care. But when you're being weird to other people, and even at times where it's like, there's that, well, I have to correct people on how they're acting, because I'm like, fam, what is your deal? What do you got going on? It's like, what part of like, no, do you not understand? So that's why I'm like, nah, there's at times where it's like, a person, they need to, come back to reality on that type of stuff. Because, yeah, it's like I said, it's like you don't know if that person is in. And I mean, yeah, it's like, you ain't gonna just go around and be asking people and stuff like, oh, are you into. And that's when it's like, if you gotta ask people like that question, hey, are you into this sense of humor? Or are you into these things? If you can't ask them that question, then that should be a clear sign and indication that you shouldn't be fooling with that person like that, if you got to ask them that question. So anyways, but I mean, like, yeah, if you develop a relationship with a person and they are into that type of stuff, then okay. But if not, then it's like, fam, it's just, there's just people out there where they're, like I said, they're weird. All right. So, but no, I was reading this like it was like, how can I place it? It's like a long tweet. Like, there's a website where it's like you can tweet more than 140 characters or whatever and stuff. So but now there's a tweet from this streamer, and one of my friends had like responded to the tweet, so that's how I seen it. And yeah, it was, reading her story about like what she went through and stuff, and then the person's trying to like apologize afterwards, and it's like, you have to understand that there's no apology for that. Like, you knew what you were doing, you knew what you, and the thing is this, like reading that story, and it's a hard story to read. It was like I didn't want to read all of it because it's one of those things where it's like, it kind of sits on your mind, and it's like, why would a person act like that? So that's why I try not to, I read enough. And yeah, it was hard. It was hard to read, and it's just to know that people carry on like that. It's like, fam, and this was the girl's friend. Like that's what trips me out. It's like, this person is looking at you. And that's the thing where it's like, even though you may not look at yourself as a protector and stuff, you guys sit down and think about it, because no, like I'm going to be like bringing up like some, like dark scenarios and like having you really questioning like are you sure you want to be this person's friend? Because if you're going to be carrying on like that, you shouldn't be that person's friend. No, you shouldn't. Like, you should be blocked, deleted, everything possible. But let's say you are watching like yourself from a third person view and you see that situation going on. In the initial moment, you're thinking like, oh, okay, like I'm probably going to get some. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing that. But it's like, imagine seeing yourself from a third person viewing. Imagine like, you know what this girl is thinking. You know what's going through her mind right now. She's dealing with one of the most traumatic experiences of her life. Like literally like one of the most traumatic experiences that anybody can go through. Imagine going through that. Imagine being in her shoes. Like, that's the thing where it's like people don't want to sit down and think about stuff like that. To whoever this guy is, if let's say if there is a situation where a girl, guy, whoever, they doing the same thing to you, how would that make you feel? How would that? And that's the thing, people don't be wanting to think about stuff like that because it's too dark. And I'm like, okay, well, imagine how that person feels that you just put them through that same dark stuff that you don't want to think about. I'm saying, like, people don't, they do not sit down and they do not think. And that's their issue. That's their problem. It's like you put yourself in situations like that. Now you done ruined your life. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, no, this guy, if he ever tries to be a content creator, because I feel like, yeah, that his career is done. It's like this situation blows up. It's like your career is done. And I'm not saying like, oh, well, people that are not out there and famous, like, like, oh, okay, like I ain't got nothing to worry about. No, you do have a lot to worry about, because here's what I personally think, and here's what I encourage. I encourage women to properly train themselves in situations like this, whether you got to beat a person down within an inch of their life, or even so go as far as to take their life. And yes, taking a life, it is hard. That is something that, like, if that person is not trying to, back off or do anything, and you're pleading your case, telling them to stop, all this other stuff, and if literally that is like last resort, last option, do what you have to do, because there's people in this world where it's like, no, they're just going to continue doing that stuff and they're never going to learn their lesson. So that's why it's like, no, it's like, I would recommend though, like, like not taking their life, because yeah, like I said, like that's dark too and stuff, but beating them within an inch of their life, no, I definitely 100% approve of that. Like, that's why I'm like, no, that's something that I thought of where it's like, I would want, I think I might have mentioned this before, but to whoever my significant other is, right? That's something where I would bring up to her where it's like, if the relationship doesn't work and then you end up like being with somebody and you don't really know of them and things, like you don't know what they be like, they could be crazy and then they try to pull some stuff on you. Like, I want to properly train whoever my significant other is, like in case if the relationship doesn't work out, to fight, to like learn how to, freaking go to a shooting range, learn how to fight, join a kickboxing class, work out, do everything possible, all right, just in case if things don't work out between us and she gets into her next relationship and that guy's all like, oh, I can do whatever, like I'm the man, I'm this, I'm that, and they be on some like stuff where it, they just be thinking dumb, like, no, then that's when they're going to meet their match and they're going to be like, okay, I maybe shouldn't have done this. I maybe shouldn't have carried on the way that I carried on. I maybe shouldn't have tried to do no things to her where it's like I'm taking advantage of her and stuff. But no, I highly encourage women to go out there and to do that, to properly train yourselves in case like a guy tries to do some stuff like that. Like, no, like go and grab his arm, twist it in a position where it breaks. And now this man's all like, I gotta go. Because, like, honestly, the thing is, whatever, like, I just feel like that, doing stuff like that where it's like you put them through some stuff. Now they're gonna sit down and they gotta think about that while he's, getting all these surgeries done to his arm. It's all like, well, dang, maybe I shouldn't have did what I did and stuff. And yeah, it's, it's just like, I just want that from women. I'm like, if there's anything that I can request, for like, for women and things, just properly train yourselves. Because, and the thing is, I know there's going to probably be people out there saying that, like, I shouldn't have to. And you're 100% right. You are 100% right. But I would rather request that one thing than to hear more stories like that. Because I'm like, having it where there's like friends that will tell me stories like that, hearing family members, they go through stuff like that. It's crazy. It's one of those things where it's like, man, it's like why? It's like, why does somebody feel like that? But no, like I said, they deal with some stuff like that themselves. I guarantee and I promise you their whole life is going to change. All right. So, man, it's just, it's crazy. It's one of those things where it's like people just got to have more respect for others. And, overall, yeah, once when that happens, then, yeah, I just think that, stuff like this, you won't have to hear celebrities going through it. You won't have to hear because it was like the one actress from Stranger Things, and I'm not gonna because I don't want to, there might be people out there that's still watching it, or they haven't been caught up with the show, so I'm not gonna mention any roles that she's had. But there was an actress from Stranger Things that just recently came out and talked about how she was S.A. Like by a producer of the show. And that's where it's like, man, you think like just because, like, we're not, the thing is this, you shouldn't have to think like just because like of who you are, what you do, whatever, that type of stuff won't happen to you. But it's like the fact that it's like, fam, it is literally from the most randomest, like people that you don't know that has it happen to them. And then it'll be a celebrity. And it's like, fam, like, why is it so hard to just respect those around us? Like, that's where it's like you can kind of somewhat tell, like, these guys didn't grow up with women in their lives, because I'm like, I grew up with a lot of female friends. I grew up with my mom and my sister. So, at the end of the day, it's all like, yeah, it's like women are like valuable people. Like, they shouldn't have to, have people take advantage of them and, make it seem like that, oh, it's like, it ain't nothing to trip about. It ain't, no, there's a lot to trip about. But I think that's what it is, though, where a lot of men, they just need to overall meet their match. And I think, like, when that type of stuff, that the men that carry on in this life, where they feel like they need to do those things like SA and every other form of assault, once when that type of stuff happens to them, then, yeah, I think, a lot of them will have like an eye opener, because, like, the thing is this, and, again, bringing up some dark stuff, but let's say, to whoever this guy is, because I think the guy from this story that I was reading about from the Twitch streamer, he's also a content creator. And let's say, this situation puts him in prison. And you got a guy in there where he's all like, bro, I haven't been with anybody in years, all right? And he's looking at you, he's giving you that look. How would that make you feel? Where it's like, you ain't got no guards to protect you, you ain't got no prisoners to protect you. This man done caught you in a cell by yourself, and he takes advantage of you. Like, what could you possibly do? Because you're in prison. You can't do nothing. There's, like, I'm telling you, then it's like, let's say it's one of those prisons where it's like they do, like, weapon checks. So you can't defend yourself. You can't do nothing. You just got to accept the fact that that's happened to you. That's the thing, that it's like they don't want to think about that, because they're all like, oh, well, nah, that ain't going to never happen to me, because I ain't never going to go. They're like, and it's like, I'm pretty sure because with Andrew Tate, I know there was all like stuff like that was being said about him. And I'm pretty sure he's thought to himself that he was never going to go to prison. Look where he's at right now. I don't think he's not officially in prison. I think he's like in a holding cell or whatever, and things waiting for his trial and all of that. But look at his situation. That's what I mean by people. It's like, you got to live right. if you ain't out here living right, like you gonna find yourself in the most struggling situation of all times. And you know, it's one of those things where it's just you have to really, I mean, really sit down and reevaluate your life, because I guarantee and I promise you, if you don't, you are going to find yourself in a, because I've been speaking on karma. You're going to find yourself dealing with the worst form of karma, literally the super heavyweight of karma. And you're going to have to deal with that. And there ain't going to be no other ways around it. You just going to have to sit down and deal with it. Like, the thing is, and I know people are going to probably think, like, you know, I'm trying to be funny. I'm trying to, you know, crack jokes and all that. But I'm not. I'm being dead serious. But I'm pretty sure a lot of us remember that movie, Final Destination. And I'm pretty sure a lot of us remember when it was like when they would cheat death, and then, you know, like eventually at some point in time, them guys ended up dying. Now, to put that into a real life perspective, I know I shouldn't have been, you know, referencing no movie, but I'm just saying, it's like, I do feel like that's how karma works, where it's like you might skip out on some form of karma, but you're going to be having to do that your whole life. Because it's like you could skip out. Eventually, it's going to catch you slipping. Something crazy is going to happen to you, and you ain't going to have no choice. But it's like, but even then, it's all like, you know, like, let's say, you know, that situation clears up. You get into a relationship, and you guys sit and watch somebody that you care for, that happens to them. How'd that make you feel? Where, you know, like, people, I'm telling you, they don't bother to sit down and think about that stuff. But you think about all the hard thinking stuff. Think about that. And I guarantee and I promise you, like, you will change your life. All right. So anyways, talk to y'all later. Peace.